Hello, and welcome to the RPGTO video tutorial for DMs, tips, tricks, and tools. Now, the absolute first thing you're going to want to do is make your own session so that you can see everything that I'm seeing, or almost everything. Go to the campaign manager, click new session, okay, then you're going to hit submit, and then you're going to launch it. Obviously, I'm going to delete this because I'm already in a session, but we'll discuss a lot more on the table when you get back. Now, anytime you need to, go ahead and pause me. Trust me, I will wait for you. Now, when we go back to new session, I'm going to go to the upper left-hand corner where it says File, and I'm going to click on Manage Saved Adventures. Now, the difference between managing saved maps and exporting current map is that it's only going to be that map. When you are exporting an adventure and exporting or importing an adventure, it's going to be everything that was on that table. The characters, the monsters, and all of the maps. It doesn't matter how many that is. So let's go ahead and go over here. I obviously have a number. You won't have any because it's what you saved, not what everybody else has saved. All right. So while Looney Tunes and the Break It into Acme Labs is loading, I want you to go ahead and take a minute to look around. Now, the majority of our time is going to be spent with monsters. After maps, it's probably the second biggest mechanic that you need to worry about. And we're going to go to character. And instead of import PC, you're going to go to new monster. You have generic and D&D 4E. So let's go ahead and make a generic monster. It is absolutely the most basic possible template. So you will see when we import it that it's going to show up right over here. First of all, you're going to get a token selection. Now you can absolutely use PCs for your monster tokens, and you can use monsters. And we're going to go ahead and go to the monster token tab and wait for it to load. It's going to take it definitely a minute or two because there are so many options. Loads, you're going to choose your monster. Now, this is not going to choose a monster in the sense that it is the stat box for a monster. It is only the token. All of the ones that you own will appear at the top. The ones that you do not own will appear underneath, and they're very simple and quick to purchase. So we save that, and then we start editing our monster blocks. So the absolute top line is going to be the name that appears for the players. The second and third line are for information for you, such as level, class, race, um, and you're going to be able to put anything you need to in there. Then you have two tabs, powers and notes. Notes are for whatever you need. If you want to put in that this is a blackguard from such and such family in such and such region, and tall sandy blonde hair, quick temper, likes to whatever. Or you can put equipment and more serious matters. Now, when we go to powers, that's where you're going to put all of your power notes in. And generic only has other and damage as far as its what I consider its attack lines. That's because some systems do not use attack rolls. Per se, they do attack, but L5R is like a roll 10 and keep 6 kind of system. You're going to be able to put that in. It's just not going to automatically target for you. And so go ahead and edit that to say whatever you need to. Once you save it, it's going to appear for you in the standard format. Then, new monster up on the left-hand side, D&D 4E. This is going to, again, allow you to pick a token first. So once you pick something, and this always takes me a minute because I really enjoy the tokens. And Once you pick something, you're going to want to save it and then go to the next block and edit it. And let's see, who looks cute today? Maybe a little bit of vile darkness? What do you say? And here you see where the items that I do not own are at the bottom. Once you purchase them, they actually move up to the topper section. Alright, so a bit of vile darkness it is. Again, you have the top line where it'll be the name that appears to the player, second and third lines for more information for yourself, and the format for 4E. Hit points, action points, initiative, defenses. Again, you have a notes option so that you can put a lot more information in that, and the power option. And on your power cards is going to appear attack, damage, and other again. And that's going to let you use attack and damage automation. I personally like attack and damage automation. Not everybody does. They feel like it turns it more into a video game. But I think it frees me up to do other things. So I put in any notes that I need, and then I put in the power names on the cards. I tend to use this option for traps because by making a trap into a monster, I get to use it to automatically target my players. And of course, by automatically, I still do need to manually target them. It's just that I'm not rolling the die roller and then comparing the number and then rolling a damage and telling them the effects. I'm able to put that in its own line, and that really shortens the process in game. Alright, so we're going to finish making this monster. We're going to put in something in the other line. And you definitely do still need to put a number in that right hand box or it won't save properly. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to save. Last, we're going to go ahead and make a character using the stat blocks that are available to you. So we go ahead and up to character, we click on import a character, import a monster, and then we just use our search parameters to get what we need, be it Beholder, Barghast, Goblin, Dragon, Archlich, whatever we need, and the level approximately that we need it at. We search, and then we will choose the option that we like. Once we have chosen it and imported it, it's going to appear in the right-hand stat block. Only the information will appear, not the token. You're going to have to go ahead and edit it, and I definitely do tell you you do need to edit it. Same thing as what the other blocks apply. You want to put in your effects. You want to put in your damage types. This way, PCs that have resistances automatically know what they're resistant to and not resistant to, and they're not going to have to ask you. They will need to put their resistances back in as hit points because the table doesn't know what resistances they have, but they can see it and they can adjust very quickly. So here we go. We copy the effect, and then we're going to go ahead and paste it in there with our damage. If it's an effect like Daze, Prone, Stun, we put that in our attack line. If it's save-ins, if it's until end of next turn, we type that in as well. You can't even imagine how much time this saves you in-game. Now, the last thing you're going to need to do is go ahead and pick your token. As I said, I happen to like that it does not come together. It would save a minute when you're using a standard monster in the standard way to have it come together. I don't really think it's not worth it. So, after you've saved your token, you go ahead and save the whole page, and then you're able to use it. Let's go ahead and put a couple of these on the table so that we can show you attack and damage. What's really, really important to know about this is a couple of things. One, if you double click any token on the table, it is going to force that sheet to come up, whether it be PC or monster stat block. So double clicking forces it to come up, but notice that my upper right hand box has now changed. That particular monster is now in the upper right hand box, and not just the type, that particular monster. And that's because it's going to show you its hit points. It's also going to show you its AC and fortitude, its defenses, and for players it's going to show passive perception and passive insight. You're going to be able to edit hit points right from that box for the individual monsters. You are also going to be able to adjust conditions from there. I don't adjust conditions that way. I right click on the individual token and I adjust conditions from there, and this way I can be absolutely certain of which monster I am adjusting. And here you'll just see me adjusting the hit points down and then up. I will show you the conditions. And another thing that's going to be very important for you to know is that you don't have to have the monster on the table in order to use it to attack and to damage. With attack and damage automation, all you need to do is click the appropriate die and target your monster. This is going to make it possible for you to use a monster right out of the stat block without placing it on the table, such as your trap. But it's also going to mean that if you're not paying attention, you're going to be attacking with a different monster because maybe you were checking the monster coming up in the initiative order. I double click on the monster that I currently am using to attack, and it forces this sheet up, and this way I'm able to be sure that I'm using the right monster. And this is here where you see me right clicking on the token and choosing adjust conditions and adjusting from there. Also, when you use marked, it's going to automatically give you your characters. Every single character on the left hand side it's going to offer you as a choice for marked by. The table does not know who has a mark, who doesn't, so it gives you every option. You can also put in the other lines, as you saw, under other conditions. I put in quarry and oath just because that's what I was able to think of really quickly. You can put any number of things. As many bars as you use, that's what will show, and all you have to do is scroll down. As long as you're putting something in a box, another box is going to show for you. So here, let's go ahead and pick another monster. We're going to edit it and use it as our trap. And that's going to be very, very quick and easy, as you can see. Hit edit, click trap, retitle it to trap so that you know what it is, not so that your players know what it is, because obviously you're going to have it invisible. And you can have it invisible in either a fog of war or right click on the token, choose make invisible, and yes, you're seeing it, but your players absolutely will not. I like to use the very, very large tiles, either huge or gargantuan, and this way, even when I'm zoomed out, I can see my trap and I can target my players with it. And because I have so many on the table, this is a bit ridiculous, so I'm going to take some of them off and not distract myself really with them. You'll notice that you cannot see the tiles underneath it. Your players will only see the tiles underneath it. Trust me, it works. Now, again, we're targeting our players with our trap, and as you can see, with attack and damage automation, it allows you to do that quickly. You don't have to go to the die roller, click on D20 plus adding in the bonus. You don't have to go to the die roller, unclick the D20 so that it goes back up, and, click your D6, D8, whatever, 5 times so that you can do your trap damage. And then still have to manually apply it. All right, so next, and go to Brilliant Bunnies. And that's just because Brilliant Bunnies has a whole lot of effects. When you have a whole lot of effects, obviously you are going to want to use the other tab. This lets, again, your players see what applies to them and what doesn't apply to them. And actually, your other players will help you with that. And by that I mean, the guy that wasn't paying attention and can't remember what you said, the guy that was off getting a drink, they're going to tell him it's in the chat box. And you're going to be free to go check something else. Obviously, you can see I have a lot of fun with this and just am enjoying faffing about. And that's because you'd think I absolutely loved to edit. I don't, but I do love the time it saves me. And on something like this with, a lot of very fun effects, it gives me a little bit of freedom that I don't normally have. Now, let's go ahead and here you can see where all of that appears in the chat box. And if you go up to settings, you also want to unrestrict your token movement. A lot of players have powers that pull, push, slide. By unclicking token movement restricted, you unrestrict your token movement, and that lets players put the monsters where they want them. It saves you the time of them getting a pointer finger, showing you the box. Oh, no, no, I meant that box one more up, or, one more to the left. And then they ask the other players, wait, is that where y'all want him? Is that good for y'all? Um, it, it saves me the time and trouble. They are moving the token and asking each other, that question. I'm not having to wait for them to finally decide where they want it. I can go check something else, or I can go get a drink if I want it. All right, so let's go ahead and go to character and not import monster. We want to actually manage our saved characters. Now, the difference between a saved character under manage saved character and importing a PC. Importing a PC imports it from the DDI saved character builder, okay? And while you do have those options for generic and PC so that you can manually make it on the table, I'm not going over that because we did that in the tutorial for players. Now, as I said, when you have the character on the table and you've edited it, this is where the manage save character really, really comes in handy. So you've taken your character, you've imported it, you've added all of the names of the attack lines, you've added in your effects, you've added in other roles. You don't want to have to do that, for time after time if you play with a couple of different DMs, say one-shots. And by exporting it, you have all of the editing intact. You never have to do it again. I'm going to bring in Twink because he's a rune priest. Rune priests and scions need a tremendous amount of editing to make them faster to play on the table. It's the player giving the DM information now when the player edits his character well. Okay, so you've edited that character. You've got 500 different lines. You don't want to have to do that twice. So export your character. It will now appear in your Manage Save Characters file, and then you can import it with the editing intact on every table after that. Obviously, you are going to have to edit if you level up, but that tends to be a whole lot faster and easier than the 500 other lines that a heavily edited character needs. Now, you'll see that I have a lot of saved characters. That is not because I play. That's because as the DM, I export all of my players' characters. So this way, if I have a table glitch, crash, whatever, and I need to make a new one, I can very, very quickly do that, and I can bring in my players' characters quickly and easily for them. Not every player is going to have a DDI file, and they're not going to have the ability to import it very, very quickly. So by having it for them, you avoid a few tears. and uh, and we like to avoid tears whenever possible. Now the other thing is, and you'll see me scrolling down on Call of Iron and Word of Destruction or whatever I'm scrolling on, and seeing all the editing that Twink has. But look over on the left. Oh my gosh, I brought in a character and all the other ones disappeared except for one, or all the other characters disappeared. Um, they're there. All you need to do is log out and relaunch the table, come back in, and that's going to fix that. Relogging fixes about 95% of your problems. So always try that first. Okay, so here we go. We're coming back in, and once it loads, you'll see the other characters. Once we do that, we're also going to go back out again fairly quickly and show you where everything else is. Okay, so there you have it. All of the characters still there, no worries. Images, you can upload your images, you can use them as maps. As I've said before, it does cause some lag, so it's going to be up to you. It doesn't cause lag with everybody though, and we have not yet figured out what the difference is in programs as to who it's going to give a problem to and who's not. So if you want to try it, by all means. Okay, so here we are. We're using Sarlona, where we can view it as an image, and there's a tiny little button very at the top of that when you view it as an image that allows you to share. It still lags the table though. So I go ahead and use it as a map, and this way I can put it on the table. It does absolutely have to be edited, otherwise it comes in as thumbnail size. And it is 50 pixels per square if you want to do the editing. Go ahead and I'm bringing in War Tower so that you can see the image used as a map that actually was intended to be a map. And the D&D community page, um, D&D Insider, has a very, very, very large selection of maps that are freeware. So here we go, War Tower, Warden. Um, let's zoom in, and you can see that. Surprised actually that it's not lagging me out. I've got 50, I'm hit and miss with that. Sometimes it lags me, sometimes it doesn't. Up here under Tools, Play Sounds. You have a large variety of sounds. You're not going to hear them right now, but your players will hear them. So go ahead and experiment with a few of these. They're very fun. I would probably use them more, but I am not a heavy combat game, and I tend to forget about them. As you can see, when I scrolled over map, I have a number of maps on this table. I have not hit a limit yet as to how many maps I can have. Since the changeover, I used to hit the limit all the time, but I'm a lot more careful now. And Fog of War, you can still use the Fog of War on the images. Sometimes problematic, but never problematic when you put it on the side. And I hide tiles and I hide monster tokens in a Fog of War. And you can Fog of War as little as one tile, one square rather. To erase it, you choose the option right next to it, the eyeball that's open versus the eyeball that's closed, and that erases your Fog of War for when you want to do your big reveal. I personally like hiding things like Fireball and, that great big 5x5 arcane circle in there, because then I can without having to click on the tile um, map option and scroll down and this and that and grab it, I can have it available to lay down on the table. That's just me. I don't know that anybody else does that. So, they triggered the fireball trap. I plop the tile down and then use the trap token to target them to see who I've actually hit. All right, show token names. Let's do that really quickly. It's going to show the token names for everything on the table. It can be a little distracting, so I don't tend to use it. I tend to, when I need to see token names, I tend to just go ahead and scroll over it. So now that we're zoomed in, you can see Brilliant Bunnies, but I have a couple of of tables that have a large number of NPCs. I like it when I have a village to have a lot of villagers there. I think it makes it look better. So it can be a large number of token names all scattered all over the place. Now, Facebook we won't go over because Facebook's for girls. We don't do that. Facts, bug support, wiki, all of that there. You can see voice. Now, I want to point out voice fonts because voice fonts I think are fun and my players hate. And the first time you have a player use a voice font, especially for an extended period of time, you will hate also. They are annoying. They can also cause a tiny bit of lag, but if for some reason you absolutely have got to use a voice font, and I do sometimes, little tiny girly voice doesn't do work very well. Um, Remember to go back and choose none. You will be by default speaking in that voice font until you go back and choose none. It's not even a matter of unchoosing it. You've got to choose none. Okay, journal entries. Journal entries over on the right hand side, go, go, go. You will see journal entries have a public option. They are by default private. That way you don't have to worry about showing your players a little more than they want them to see. Okay, so I think that's going to cover everything that we need to do here. Um, Background. Ever since the changeover, I think it's only battle mat. You can do start map here, and that's going to bring your players to that section. It's not going to zoom them in close like this, but it's going to bring them automatically to that section of the map. I used to use it, I don't anymore. I'm just all over the place. Map notes, right click on the tile on the map itself where you want that note, and you can make a new map note. Again, they are by default private. So you see the note, your players do not, and you can put yourself any information you need to there. When you want the players to have information, they're in, such and such a library, such and such a tavern. The illumination is this, the ceiling is that, the, NPC is whatever. Go ahead and make a note and make it public. It's that quick, that simple, that easy, and actually the notes can have a large amount of information on them, surprisingly so sometimes. So here we're going to make a note public. It will appear in gold, except we really wanted to make the note public. So go back, right click on it, edit it, and make it public. Okay, so let's go to the D&D community because the community has the new DMs group, and the new DMs wiki is where I go to whenever I want to access a couple of little things. Okay, so there's the wiki. There's the wiki. View the wiki. DM resources. And there's the link for the maps. Now, you don't have to go through this, it's just fast for me. Alright, so you can see you have a lot of map options available. The other thing the wiki has applies not to the virtual table, but to DMing in general, and that's DMing made easy. Gargs 454 has a huge number of articles that are very, very readable, very, very simple, and lovely advice, and well titled. So if you need a particular subject, go to Gargs 454, read what he has to say. Fun. Another series of blogs that I think should be required reading for DMs are by Paladin's Pride. He made a series of articles on traps that is just phenomenal. Go ahead and take some time to read through that because they will really, really help you incorporate traps far more efficiently and effectively. Okay, next, let's go ahead and go to Game Table Online because Game Table Online has, oh, WotC also has the online role-playing game group. This is Game Table Online's group here at the D&D community, and you'll see in their forums you have a Find a Campaign, Living Forgotten Realms, general discussion, feedbacks, bugs. And they do keep an eye on the site, and some DMs rather, only check the WotC community for games. The game table online also has finding players and campaigns forum, and some DMs only post here. I would recommend that you post both places, especially at first, to see who you can get into a game. Okay, so post a new topic right under finding players and campaigns. Introduce yourself, introduce your game. Introduce any requirements. Links every GTO virtual table user should bookmark includes Mibit. Love Mibit? You will love Mibit because the guys in Mibit are absolutely awesome. So go to Mibit, introduce yourself, any problem you have, Aganar, Mataclysm, Arzel, Scaly Dragon, almost always available, even if it sometimes takes some time to get them, almost always available, and very, very happy to help, very, very knowledgeable about this table. Okay, so next, oh, I did promise you that we are going to show you the premium and subscription, so let's see if we can go ahead and go there. And it is back at your campaign manager. Those at the top where you see FAQ, Wiki, etc., go to Premium, and you will see a list of free user, subscriber, so that you can decide for yourself what you want and what's effective for you. As I said, almost everything you can get as a subscriber, you can get for gold. So up to you what you want and what's more important to you. The store, the big difference between buying it in the store and buying it in the table is that you can buy multiple items at the same time when you buy it from the store. You can choose a lot of different packs, you can choose a lot of different tiles, and then just pay for them all at once. And again, when you choose PCs, you are not choosing a character sheet, you are choosing the token only. Buying gold is also an option right there. So when you run out, you can just buy some more. There is an option for getting gold for free, and that is through the Game Table Online main page. So I believe that is going to be it for this. Tips, oh, new session. How to get players into your campaign. All right, so let's discuss that. Make a new session and then add slots. Now, this is not going to automatically show under open campaigns. Why isn't it automatically showing under open campaigns? I added slots. It's because it doesn't have a valid date and time. So once you put in a valid future date and time, it's going to show under, and submit it, it's going to show under open campaigns. And there you have it. RPGTO DM tutorial under open campaigns. Since I absolutely do not want the table to show and people to join it by accident, I'm just deleting it right now. Okay, now let's go back to the table. I do recommend when you put the information in that block that you put the thread there so that players know where to go to the Find a Player campaign thread so that they can find out about your game and post their character information, and you can send invites from there. It's very, very tempting, far too tempting for, new players to hit that great big shiny join button, but then they don't actually show up for a game. And by having them go to the thread, they learn the information about the game that you need them to have, and you learn the information about them that you need to have, and they're far more likely to show. Alright, so I'm just showing off a few of the maps that I got through the repository. That is a subscriber-only feature that you can share maps and that you can get shared maps, and it's a nice feature. And this is the end of the tutorial. So this is I Smile a Lot saying happy gaming and goodbye.